side, or
Sure.
does she have any of the sign-in sheets?
It's 5 things on the agenda, but only 4 things here.
Hmm?
It's 5 things on the agenda, but only 4.
Maybe jacket sheet. I'm doing number 1. I think Dennis is doing 2. I don't know.
Welcome to the September 12th, 2024 Planning Board Public Hearing Meeting. Since there aren't that many in the audience, I'll just say that in case of an emergency, there are 2 doors that go out here, go down the stairs and out the front door. And pray you don't have to do that. So we'll have a roll call, please.
Chair LaFaro,
Present.
Vice Chair Finnerty.
Present.
The Secretary is here. Board Member Mushu,
Present.
Board Member Neely,
Present.
Board Member Fulham. Present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So we'll go in order of the agenda. The first application is Southampton Deep Blue Sea. Do we have,
It's a continuation.
is that a continuation?
Yeah.
Yes. You held it open from last time, right?
Okay, so
would
then we
would
don't
there
need
be a
anything.
new affidavit of mailing that you got normally in
I
this
don't
situation?
think
you
No,
do email.
then you can.
And there's nobody signed up for Deep Blue Sea.
Okay.
I don't know if the
Is
applicant.
there anyone here for Deep Blue Sea? All right, let's move down to Rivian.
You want to do Zoom? Check Zoom?
Yeah, oh, Kevin, is there anyone for Deep Blue Sea, the applicant?
2 hands up, actually.
2 hands.
2 hands is, can you give us some names? Do we know who the applicant
I
is?
bet
So Danielle on here says that Danielle emailed the affidavit for Blue to Carrie Anthony.
Well, if it's a continuation, you've already given your certification at the last session,
they
correct?
sent the new one, so.
They
yeah.
sent a
They
new one?
probably reposted the property with the new date.
Okay, so we're okay with that then, okay. And are you is the applicant here, and does he wish to speak to the application, or she?
I'm not sure, it wasn't directly said, but I'm bringing them on now.
they could be neighbors, which is fine.
Since it's open, right?
That's a neighbor, just so you know.
Yes, we can. We'll take your comments.
State your name.
Just state your name for the record.
John Flanagan.
John Flanagan.
Durant.
Are you in the lower image or the upper?
John is in the upper image.
Okay.
Not sure.
So, John, you're on. John Flanagan?
Yes, I am.
I don't know who the other person is.
I don't know. We'll find out. Can you give us your name? Hello?
John Flanagan.
No, I'm looking at the other image.
Okay.
So hi, my name is Jonathan Yett, and I'm just here as a neighbor for public testimony after we hear from the applicant.
I don't think we're gonna be here.
The applicant
I
is
think
not.
that was the applicant, the previous people, Durant, I thought.
John Flanagan and Danielle Durant are the applicant.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
We have Gordon Von Brock about to enter into town hall. He got stuck on the LAE in an accident.
Should we move to the next?
You can second call it if you want.
Do you want us to
We can take
wait?
we can take your comments.
I mean, if we could wait for him to come in and we could be later on in the process, that would.
Okay, so why don't we hold you? We'll hold this application and we'll go to the next hearing. Kevin, can you keep us apprised?
Got it.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on to Rivian.
Okay,
Do
I'll
we
read,
have sufficient notice for Rivian?
We do posting and mailing, yes.
We do, and
and I will read that.
Tom, yeah.
Please take notice that in accordance with local law number 14 of 2022, a public hearing will be held by the Southampton Town Planning Board on Thursday, September 12th,
Use the podium.
2024 at 6 p.m. at Town Hall, 116 Hampton Road, Southampton, and via video conferencing to consider the site plan application entitled Rivian LLC. The application is to convert an existing 2,000 square foot retail furniture store into an automotive use dealership and to install electric charging stations located in the Highway Business Zoning District at 1 Montauk Highway, Hamlet of Watermill, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-133-1-6.
Good evening. Joe Papero from Porzio on behalf of Rivian Automotive LLC. As was discussed, this is an application for the patio.com building on Montauk Highway to convert that building into a Rivian charging outpost. We were before the board for a work session back in March. We received your comments and made necessary revisions to the plans, resubmitted. There was additional proceedings. The Architectural Review Board weighed in on the application. The application was also, the referrals were also sent out, and we're prepared this evening for the site plan and special exception presentation. The site is located in your highway business zone where the automotive use is a special exception use. We do have a number of witnesses here this evening. Similar to our presentation at the work session, I would like to begin with the representative of Rivian just to remind everyone about this unique use. It is exciting, an exciting project and a repurposing of this building. The plans demonstrate the desire of Rivian to really preserve the character of that building, but also, make updates where necessary, and also obviously install the charging stations for the proposal. So, unless there's preliminary questions, I'd like to move directly with Justin Ackerman from Rivian to give you another overview of what this charging outpost and Rivian auto use will look like here.
That's fine. Is that Justin
Ackerman.
Ackerman?
Yep. Justin?
Hi, everyone. So we are, as Joe mentioned, we're looking at doing what we call a charging outpost on 1 Montauk Way in Southampton. The project itself is pretty much amenitized charging. And so what will happen there is we're going to be installing six chargers total. And then have a small retail component on the interior where we sell our merchandise. And then we'll also be doing demonstration drives out of the site. So there will be a couple cars on hand for those demo drives and stored on site. Architecturally, as Joe mentioned, we're looking at preserving the character of the building as much as possible and improving the landscape around it. We're not adding any additional parking. We're kind of leveraging what's existing. We're also making kind of the access in and out of the site a lot more efficient. I know there were concerns raised at the initial meeting that we had about kind of the safety of that intersection. So we're trying to address those as much as possible also.
Is there anything you can show us on here about how you are going to
Yeah,
access?
if we want to look at there was a first. Yeah, do we want to go to the site plan actually? Yeah, if you want to zoom in a bit, it's changed slightly based on comments that we've actually received through the planning and zoning process. But what we're looking at doing is actually having on the lower right hand side, that becomes the entrance and exit. So that becomes the only access to the site. We're going to be closing down the other kind of more problematic access to the site. And then drivers who visit the site, it's going to be kind of a one-way thoroughfare through and around the building. And then we'll have charging adjacent in the upper left-hand corner, charging adjacent to the infrastructure required for that charging. So the cabinets and transformer. And then a small play yard on the north side of the building for individuals who are going to be charging. A lot of our clientele has kids, a lot of people coming up here, kids and pets. And so definitely want to create an opportunity to keep your family busy and happy while your car is sitting there charging. And then as you enter the building, there's going to be kind of a large table. Is there a space plan? Yeah, there we go. The coffee bar, this rendering has been updated a little bit since too. We've actually pulled that coffee bar program out completely. I know there was a request to pull the permits apart, but I think the more digging that we did and kind of the feedback that we heard from you guys was like the most local coffee shop is literally next door. And so we didn't want to create like any competition. And we actually had some conversations with them early on and just decided it was kind of in the best interests of everyone to kind of eliminate that program. So here it's mainly, what we're doing is creating a space for people to hang out while they charge and to sell our merchandise on site. And so charging takes anywhere between 25 and 45 minutes typically. So that's kind of the duration of time that individuals will be on site. And then if we go back to the floor plan, if you zoom in a little bit on that guy.
Oh, you have it on the plan here. Okay.
Yeah, it's updated a little bit. As I said, like the coffee bar is no longer there, but that larger space is that lounge area. And then as you move down to the current kind of main entrance to the patio.com, we'll have a little driver's lounge. And so it's appointment only. Demonstration drives will be kind of done out of the property as well.
You said there was going to be one in and out from Montauk Highway.
Yeah.
So therefore, there's no access going east. Or are you suggesting that you're going to have east and west leaving the site?
I think we have another witness. We'll let our civil engineer go through because the plan has changed. The plan that's being displayed is not the most updated plan that the town has on file that has the driveway being closed. So I prefer to have the engineer walk through the site plan.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Is your facility accessible to non-Rivian vehicles?
Yeah, so right now our network is closed, but Q3 of this year, I think around November, we are announcing that we're opening it up. So anyone with a CSS kind of universal charger can charge at them.
Will there be converters if they have a different charging?
No, that's sort of left up to the EV owner to have an adapter.
So theoretically, every EV owner in the area could utilize your facility.
And you have only 6 stations, 6 chargers?
Only 6, yeah.
You're going
Right
to
now.
expand that or leave it at 6?
I think we could be open to expanding it. I mean, based on our kind of initial research, I think a lot of what we found is that a lot of the EV, a lot of people that have EVs up here have charging at home. So it's not necessarily a huge. We didn't find a huge demand for it.
It's
so we
more of a
didn't see it.
drive-through on their way east.
Yeah, so we didn't see a huge need to expand it beyond 6.
Okay,
But I mean, I think we're definitely open to see how it does.
okay. So getting in and out of it is key, so who's presenting
Sure.
that?
Rob Fruit is our civil engineer. Rob, can you want to come forward? And again, I know your plan is, the plan that we're referring to is up on the wall here, but I think you have.
Is it okay if I
Yes,
put it
please.
on break? I'm going to put it on the other side, so.
Actually, now the podium is hiding it for us.
Just pull a little bit, yeah.
I didn't want to block the public as well.
You can block it.
Again, Rob Fruit with Dynamic Engineering for the record. So I'll just quickly go through the access and circulation. We did get feedback from the county requesting that the driveway to the bypass is closed. So what you see on this rendering here is that what was formerly an egress access to the bypass is going to be eliminated. It's about 2,500 square feet of impervious, which kind of goes to some other conversations we've had about limiting the impervious where we don't need it. So everything we've done from a calculation standpoint has been on-site as far as keeping the impervious on-site less than it is today. But a benefit is that about 2,500 square feet of pavement will come out when that driveway gets removed. So as Justin mentioned, from Montauk Highway, we'll come in here. It will be a full movement driveway as it is today, and then the circulation will run counterclockwise around the building to parking across the rear with the charge stations facing the rear, and then you would come out. There's a larger trailer charge station next to the building. The amenities are behind the building. Then you would continue around and come out to the driveway entrance there, where again it would be a full movement in and out as it is today.
So you're suggesting a left turn.
Yes.
Left turn going in.
Going
If
going
you're
out.
going- Highly
Well, you can't
dangerous.
make it.
I believe today there are no restrictions on the driveway, and our intention would be to keep it the same with.
Well,
full-
this is
full
a new plan, so, I
Yeah.
mean, that's a death trap to make turns in and out of
You
there.
can't make a left turn.
Particularly with the traffic that's pouring down from the east going west. And if you're going east, how are you going to get in, you know?
Understood. And we have an application with the DOT that is certainly reviewing access and turning movements in and out. Corey Chase is our traffic engineer. He can speak to that.
I mean,
as
we
needed.
traditionally on highways like this, we prohibit left turns.
Okay.
But
I'd have to.
getting in is, if someone is going east, they're driving in from the city and they want to charge, how are they going to cross over?
And because you
The
basically,
oncoming, you're going across a row
They
of
won't be able
cars.
to.
and
They
you
won't be
basically,
able to,
you have 2 lanes merging into one
yeah.
going east around the bend.
Yeah, again, our traffic engineer can probably speak to that because he's been dealing with the DOT on it. We certainly understand your concerns. We can let Corey speak a little bit more detail on that, and we'll also talk to the.
Okay.
clients
David
about
White's
that.
Lane, up the Head of Pond, over the bridge, right turn, past the Parish Art Museum, right turn in. And when you want to leave, take the exact same route, because I do it. I'm
Yeah.
up there at one of the dealerships up there regularly, and that's how we do it. I have a question. Can you foresee, can you foresee the need for a canopy in the future over the charging stations?
It hasn't been a consideration yet, no.
Because what we're seeing in all the gas stations is, you know, years ago they used to be out open air. Now they're all coming in for canopies for inclement weather. Your customers are exiting the vehicle and charging. So you don't see the future need for a canopy.
I don't. I think the difference there, and I've done a number of service station applications over the years when we were putting canopies up. I think the difference is in those cases you have attendants there, or excuse me, I'm from New Jersey, so we have people that are pumping the gas, but you know, or you're pumping your own gas and you're standing there, or you have transactions happening, you know, before a lot of the credit card activity. So the activity at the charging is a little bit different than a gas station where you're actually actively pumping the gas and conducting the transaction. So the activity at it is much less. So you'll go in, you'll arrive, you'll plug in, and then you can go in and use the amenities if you're there in inclement weather.
I think the canopies also serve a second purpose of a more efficient installation of the fire suppression to the gas station, which is required.
And certainly absolutely, yeah, for a service station, that is not a requirement in this case.
So we can have any more insights onto the turning in and out? Someone here want to speak to that?
Good evening, everyone. Corey Chase with Dynamic.
Could you
have to
please
go
get
to
to the
that
mic, because that's how it.
The recording equipment.
Again, Corey Chase with Dynamic Traffic. As Mr. Frood mentioned, it is our current proposal to maintain full access to the driveway on Montauk Highway. As you correctly noted, we are at the point when traffic going eastbound, there are actually 2 lanes along our frontage. So if someone was stopped waiting to make a left turn into the site, there's the ability for someone to bypass them and continue east, so it would not impede the through traffic. As vehicles are traveling westbound, it's actually just 1 lane at that point. It hasn't quite opened up to 2 lanes yet, so it is just a single lane at that point. So you are just crossing 1 lane of traffic turning in. As Mr. Frood mentioned, we did submit an initial proposal review application to the New York State Department of Transportation. That's currently under review. We did get the comments back from Suffolk County Highway, and they obviously were, as we had expected, wanting the existing driveway along the ramp to the bypass to be closed. So as Mr. Frood mentioned, the plan that's before you this evening shows the elimination of that existing driveway to the bypass and the replacement with it being seeded and grassed area. So unfortunately, we are still awaiting those comments from the Department of Transportation. Obviously, we're subject to outside agency approval as part of any approval that the town would see fit to grant. So we will have to comply with whatever their comments are. But we're still in the process of working through that with them. We intend to, go through the process and address any comments that they may issue.
Well, there's no doubt we'd probably require a traffic study, particularly at this location, which is accident records, and all of that would have to be pulled.
And you're mentioning that there's 2 lanes going eastbound, but they're queuing each other to try to get ahead of the guy next to them, because it's 2 lanes coming from County Road 39 making that left turn. So you've got...
Understood. Correct. You have the double left off the bypass, and then it merges to 1 as you get further east past the site.
It becomes gridlock.
And one of the benefits of the use that we're proposing is it's not a high traffic generator. You're catering to a very specific population of people. Currently, we're only catering to customers that have Rivian vehicles. Obviously, as Justin mentioned, in the future they intend on opening up their network to cater to other electric vehicles as well. But we're catering to a very specific population of vehicle owner operators. So, and they're also going to become very familiar with this site, given that it is, unique and that it will provide electric vehicle charging, and that's all it provides at this site. The operators of those vehicles are going to become very familiar, and they're likely going to cater their trips, to and from this facility as, when they're going somewhere in the area, when it's convenient for them, similar to when someone gets gas.
But you said you were going to open it up to all electric vehicles, so you're going to have people who are not Rivian owners using this, which is going to increase traffic. So, it's a real safety concern, this particular location. So, just so that you know, we'll be doing a traffic study on it.
Understood.
And Do you folks have information on when people are using the chargers? Early in the morning, late at night, weekends, midday? Any trends among your existing dealerships? And you'll have to come back up. Sorry.
Yeah, actually, I don't have that data on hand, but I know that that's part of like the traffic study would take that into account. I mean, we're about to wrap up a similar project type in Joshua Tree, California. And I think what we saw was obviously like weekend was like heavy traffic, and then daytime, like early morning, late afternoon is
Right.
kind of the heaviest.
The pattern, right?
Yeah. But we will be open, like offering charging 24 hours a day, but it really decreases,
Right.
after people get home.
Okay. Any, as this goes forward, any information in addition to, when we get looking at the traffic, the crashes and things like that. I mean, I can easily see why Suffolk County DPW wanted you to close that.
Mhm.
But of course, that then puts the burden on the DOT and the other entrance and
Yeah.
exit. So,
I mean, one way in and one
Yeah,
way
I
out.
mean, you've solved one problem, but exacerbated the other.
You know, in one respect, keeping the other one open and closing this one off would preclude, because it's divided at that point, at that western lobe. Right, so a car cannot make a left turn in there, can only access right turn, and when they exit, they can only make a right turn.
Right.
It would eliminate confusion, but instead of having, people are gonna be on that double radius, and they're gonna speed to a halt, no, I wanna get my car charged, and try to make a left turn out of there off the county. So we're gonna have to look at that.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to look at that. It might be better to close that one off, keep the other one open.
And move it further west.
Make a traffic
But we'll-
circle so then
no.
they can go
Wouldn't that
east.
be nice?
That's what a traffic
That's
report
what-
developed.
right.
we've got the plans.
Okay.
You know what happens there too, people.
We would
Make-
definitely
make
be
that turn,
obviously
decide to
interested
accelerate.
in whatever the
They decide to
DOT,
accelerate.
whatever direction they give you.
The only way in is right. Only way out is right.
Okay, I think we have some people who would like to speak to
Was
this.
there
Is this Mark? Is someone Mark Spector?
There's the concept plan.
I just represent the architecture team.
Was there a
Oh,
rendering?
okay.
Was there a rendering of the building?
That's
So, there really, as we
It's
mentioned
signed
before,
off
there's not a lot of changes architecturally. We're intending to keep the intent of the building intact, and really the only significant changes to the exterior includes a restroom door for 24-hour access for people charging, and reconfiguring that rear exit into a double door rear exit. So really minimal changes. One of the recommendations that we received from the fire department was to include a sprinkler system. I spoke with David Price on that issue. From a building code standpoint, we're not changing the building use, so we would ask to remove that recommendation for the sprinkler system, but otherwise really everything is maintaining the same architecturally.
And in the wintertime, you'll break down the patio, the outdoor patio.
A little children's reading nook to, again, like cater to our family, sort of.
Comfortable waiting
Sign on
areas.
the
Yeah,
building?
yeah.
the rooftop sign.
Yeah.
And then the
rooftop.
signage, I was gonna say, these renderings are outdated. We've changed the signage to align with the feedback that you
Oh.
guys had given us during the working session. So
Okay.
that are what we call the compass, the little diamond shaped thing, will be now kind of on either of the two east and west peaks, and then that Rivian sign that's
Mhm.
elevated from the roof moves over to where that diamond shaped sign is. So there's no roof signage anymore.
You're allowed two signs, right, Anthony? One is on a corner property, two signs.
From-
Two streets.
Sure. From our understanding, the signage permit's under a separate application, so
Yes.
we're using that signage permit under separate review.
If you have any questions, just call the planning department.
Absolutely.
And although I know you're not going to be bringing cars in and out like a traditional dealership, where and how you accommodate for whatever occasional unloading of vehicles, even though it may only be a couple on occasion. We'd want to make sure we see how that's done. Currently, the other dealerships, and again, they do it much more frequently than you will, but currently the dealerships along that corridor park the trailers in the center turn lane and unload from the center turn lane.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
we know we all know that's extremely unacceptable.
yeah.
So
We did, the civil team did some studies of like truck turning radiuses on site to make sure that we can fit a trailer. But really, to be honest, at max, we would be delivering like one car on site at a time. I don't even know if it would be on a trailer. It would just be for the demo drive vehicles. So we're not technically like delivering any customer vehicles on site or anything. There's no inventory that's held here. It's just the demo vehicles, which is going to be like 2 or 3. And they are likely going to be driven on site.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I have Rob Floyd.
That was me.
That was you. We can check you off on your Rivian. Rachel Verno.
Hi, everyone. Rachel Verno. I'm speaking on behalf of the Watermill CAC. And our CAC sent in a letter this week. I apologize, it was a little late, so I'm not sure if everybody got a chance to look at it. We had pretty standard questions, landscaping, lighting, but we did have some questions just about how, I don't want to call it, I guess maybe it is a dealership, how it would function in terms of were there going to be a lot of cars on site? It doesn't sound like it. Is there going to be repairs on site? In terms of the battery charging, I know with the Tesla, it was limited just to Tesla cars. And I know it's admirable to have it open up to everybody to use, but it does bring up the issue of how many trips then are generated at that site. We've been sort of spoiled over the years that we've had a site that has super low trip generators. I don't even know if they're open all year round. So that is a really difficult corner, as you've heard, just in terms of getting into and out of that site. It seems logically, if you lived here, you would always just enter as you're heading west and never try to cross the highway, but you can't really prevent people from doing that. And it was sort of surprising, as nice as it is to see all that green in that entrance, but having that exit on County Road 39 does raise some questions in terms of circulation for us. So I leave that to traffic engineers and the traffic reports, but that is certainly something. I would think left turns out of the property on 27 would be super dangerous, especially in the morning rush hour. I don't know who would try it, but somebody will, and then it would be an issue. In terms of keeping things open, like the charging stations and the bathrooms are open 24 hours. So how does that work in terms of security, lighting? Do you need to have?
Yeah, so right now we're providing kind of code minimum lighting. We're following any sort of requirements, and we definitely, like, one of our biggest, we want to make sure it's a secure site. Right. And so that's a huge, security is a huge part of our considerations here. The way the bathroom works actually is when you charge, Rivian gives you a code, so then you can access the restroom. So it's only for people who are charging. It's not necessarily meant to be open to the public in general. Yeah.
We don't have a lot of public restrooms
Totally.
in our area, and usually go to a gas station, and if people start to,
Yeah.
you know, I'm just saying for yourselves, just
Yeah.
in terms of,
Yeah.
and very glad and thank you for keeping the building and all of that. I think that's nice. I've been here long enough to know the plans that went before the planning
various
board.
plans.
So it's nice to see that structure being saved. The one other question I had is the battery, the transformer, and are there fire concerns about that transformer? You know, just you hear so many things about batteries, and I know those are much bigger batteries, but is there any precautions or any needs for if something does happen with those transformers in terms of fire protection and protocols and all of that? So that was sort of our last, and I'll sit down.
No, thank you. Yeah. we won't be storing any energy on site, so there's no actual battery storage or anything. It's really all just, you know, through directly from the utility into the car kind of thing. We follow all kind of regulations required for those chargers. I think you know, they are separated from the building, which I think is a good thing. And fire isn't necessarily a very common thing, I think, with EV charging. I think it gets blown up and blown out of proportion a little bit. But combustible engines and gas stations are actually more volatile.
How are you hooking into the grid for these chargers?
That's what I wanted to, the transformer that's on the site,
Oh.
that's an electric, that's for your electric service.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
no battery involved
no
in that.
No, no
Okay.
battery. Yeah. So
Okay.
we've been working with PSEG,
PSEG.
on the upgrade and then kind of moving those chargers forward. Yeah.
Good, okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Mhm.
Corey Cracks? That was you. Okay, is there anyone waiting? Kevin? On Zoom?
No one has their hand up, so.
Okay.
That's,
Any other-
just so you know,
They have
that's
somebody in.
Peter there tonight, not
Oh, it's Peter. Okay, hi, Peter.
We have somebody else. who's-
Somebody else.
Yes, please, your name?
Hi, my name is Kristen White. I live here in Southampton, pretty close to the site. So I just have two questions. One of them would be, I know that this right now is being presented as not being a dealership, but what is to prevent it from becoming a dealership in the future? Or are you going to come before the board and have it become a dealership in a few years when Rivians become more popular and more people out here are buying them? And then my second question would be, not really a question, but just to add a concern about the traffic, that it seems, obviously there's going to be a traffic study, but just from kind of what the gentlemen have alluded to already, he said weekends, morning, afternoon. When is our worst traffic here? Weekends, mornings, afternoons. That might actually be best because cars are moving so slow that they might be able to make turns in and out of this place. I mean,
Gridlock.
I always find that the easiest time to pull out on the highway is when they're actually stopped and they can smile and wave. But those are the most, and I would also, I hate to assume this, but I live here year round, so I'm going to assume this, that I also think that the most popular times are going to be in the summertime, which again is when our highest traffic is. So my husband is a volunteer fireman and will be responding to accidents when they happen on this corner. And it is one of the 2 coastal evacuation routes that we have here on the east end of Long Island. So I would just be very concerned about the traffic and making those left-hand turns in and
Thank
out.
you.
Thank
We
you.
are.
Thank you.
So to address kind of the traffic concerns, I think I definitely understand. And I think, you know, to keep moving things forward, I mean, I think we're happy to make it like no left turn and figure out a route around that situation so that we're not creating more of an issue. But yeah,
We'll figure it out.
yeah, definitely. And then I'm sorry, the first question.
Dealership.
If it becomes a
Oh, yeah,
dealership.
a dealership. Yeah. So, I mean, right now, what we're doing, like this, like what these sites do primarily is more about brand recognition and exposure and less about sales. Like we're actually not indexing financially, like fully on kind of how many sales we have out of these sites. And that's that goes into kind of the determination on the location of each one too. And so like our other ones right now are outside of Yosemite and one is right outside of Joshua Tree. So neither of those sites could ever be or will ever be a dealership either. And I think the reason we chose this one is because it has that access to the outdoors and to the beach and kind of everything that our customer craves. So yeah.
Okay. Good, thank you. Any other questions from the board? Go ahead.
Is there any there any ability for cross-access from this property to anything else that helps you traffic-wise?
No,
To the BMW
The dealer.
or?
no, they have all their inventory under lock and key too. You know, those are real dealerships. I don't think so.
So we don't have any ability.
No.
I know there's a cross-access between the Audi dealer. They have a way to get through the back.
So Audi and BMW.
Yeah, Audi
Yeah.
BMW out to that. I've used that when they were doing a renovation. Their dealership, when they were going under renovation, they had, service was there, but you had that back, you know, they had the back linkage, yeah.
Yeah. If there is, we'll look
It is,
for it.
it is something to
Yeah.
check.
Okay, any other questions? Because we have a lot, we have a long agenda tonight.
No more questions. I think the only thing that the applicant, and Justin will correct me if I'm wrong, is, you know, if we're amenable to conceding to restricting the driveway on Montauk Highway to be right in, right out. Would that address the board's concerns relative to the traffic study? Because, you know, we're
No,
obviously.
I think we have to look at it. I mean, this is going to require a very detailed traffic analysis.
But I would contend that we're restricting the access to the point, that the maximum point possible. We eliminated the driveway on the bypass. We're restricting the access currently that's full access on Montauk Highway to be right in, right out. So the traffic study is not going to bear any additional information that would make us change that access.
There's no way you can prevent someone from an eastbound vehicle from making a left turn and turning your sight. And that goes back to my thoughts of maybe closing that access because the other access is
It's a better-
divided. They can't turn into your site. If they see the left, oh, there's a Rivian place, how do I get there? They're gonna have to find a way. They can't cross that divider to make a left-hand turn into your site.
We can certainly work with the Department of Transportation to propose a channelizing island to restrict those turning movements. You know, we typically propose a restrictive signage, you know, on both sides of the road. So if vehicles heading eastbound will see a no left turn sign on their side of the road. We typically post a supplemental one at the driveway. So whether their
I
eyes
don't see
looking
how that works.
left or right, you have that channelizing island that actually physically restricts the vehicles.
Where would you post the no left turn sign? Right in the middle of the?
No, you post it on you post it on driver's right as they're heading eastbound. So there'll be a sign directly across from the driveway that says no left turn. And then we also post a supplemental one right proximate to the driveway. So whether their eyes are driver's right or driver's left, they see the sign in both directions. It says no left turn. And then obviously the channelizing island provides a physical restriction that really precludes someone from making that turning.
And you realize that's a merge.
Yeah.
They're merged. Two
I
lanes are
do.
merging into one. Look,
Yeah.
this has to be reside with a traffic study. We all live here. We know what that corner is like. And so we'll do our job in the planning board and hopefully you'll work with us on it.
Can you just explain how the traffic study would work? I just want to be sure that I'm clear. Is the board commissioning a traffic study? You're looking for the applicant to do that?
We commission it and you pay for it.
Okay.
Yeah, so, well,
No,
is this a
the-
pre-submission, by the way? Or is this?
This is site plan.
Site plan special exception.
I think it will be illuminating when you get comments back from the DOT as well, because that's really gonna be the
Oh, it is
say.
pre-submission,
So
Anthony. It is.
That was important.
that'll be
No, this is-
interesting
that-
as
we already
discussions
established
progress.
That was really the point I was trying to make,
It's
is
a
that
pre-submission
we
of-
typically do a traffic study when we're arguing to
Oh,
provide
sorry.
additional access than what's being requested. If we're amenable to restricting it to the maximum restriction possible, again, it's just my professional opinion, it precludes the need from the traffic study, because the traffic study is not going to bear any information that's going to impose further restrictions. We already restricted it to the maximum point possible. If we were arguing for the lefts in, lefts out, I completely understand where we would need to prepare a traffic study to try to justify continuing to provide those movements. But the fact that the Rivian's
Look,
amenable to
let me
Yeah,
just say something.
sure.
Traffic is probably the number one issue in this community. It's unique. We are at gridlock. Virtually every road is over capacity. So we have to take a hard look at this site because it's in a very, very acute situation.
And see what actually might work. And maybe
Right.
that means keeping the other entrance exit open.
Right. That's
Okay.
possible.
So
Mhm.
Sure.
I love the idea of having more lawn and less pavement. But from a safety standpoint, an engineer may say the best solution is both with restrictions.
Got it. Okay.
And as a precedent-setting measure, basically, you're never gonna get us to say that a traffic study wouldn't have to be done for any project that's happening on County Road 39. It's a critical issue in our community, and there's no way
Yeah.
we couldn't.
Exactly. Okay, so we're going to close this with 30-day written comment period.
Move it.
Motion by Dennis, second by Kate, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor. 30-day written comment period, you can send your letters to the planning board, by mail, by email, whatever. Thanks very much.
you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. It's not Kevin, it's who? Pete?
We don't have anyone on Zoom.
Okay, no, but what about Southampton Deep Blue Sea? Did
Oh,
the
they're heading.
applicant?
We're having that last.
We're gonna put it on last, okay. So we have the Hayground School Art and Science Building. And do we have notice, council?
Yes, we do.
We have notice, and George, you wanna read it into the record?
Sure. Please take notice that in accordance with local law number 14 of 2022, a public hearing will be held by Southampton Town Planning Board on Thursday, September 12, 2024 at 6 p.m. at Town Hall, 116 Hampton Road, Southampton, and via video conferencing to consider site plan application entitled Hayground School Arts and Science Building. The application is for a 5,980 square foot classroom space addition to an existing school, an underground basement space for a library totaling 3,886 square feet, an IA system, solar on the roof and charging stations in a 12.76 acre parcel in the CR80 zoning district, the Ag Overlay District, the Aquifer Protection Overlay District, and New York State Archaeological Sensitive Area at 151 Mitchell Lane, Hamlet at Bridgehampton, South County Tax Map number 900-68-1-7.4.
Thank you, George. Who's going first, Joe? You?
Good evening, Joe Lombardi from the Rayner Group. Our firm represents Hayground School. We've done that for several years. And we have had an approval. The board approved a building very similar to what's being proposed now back in 2018. We subsequently got reapprovals. The last one expired in February of 2024. Building has changed slightly. It was 3,055 square feet footprint. Now that's 3,047 square feet. The below grade portion of the building is increasing, about 300 square feet. There's an underground library that is making up of the bulk of that increase. Since we were modifying the building, and it should be noted that we're not anticipating an increase in student population or teachers or faculty and staff. It's it's just to serve the student body that's there now. Since we're modifying the site plan, we've added some green measures. We are putting in, we had approval from the health department for a conventional sanitary system. That's what they were approving back in 2018. Now an IA system is going to be installed. There'll be 6 charging stations for electric vehicles. We're installing solar panels on the roof. We're looking into geothermal wells to heat and cool the building, and using construction practices and materials that will reduce the carbon footprint of the building. That's about it.
All the good sustainability
Yes.
issues that we want.
We're trying.
So Joe, this library is underground, right?
Yes.
Is there a reason why it can't be built above ground? Are I'm just trying to wrap my head around, we're building a bunker for school
protect the
children to
books.
get educated. I'm thinking of these
Okay,
dark, like,
I'll say,
concrete walls.
probably 3 reasons. You don't want windows in a library. You're storing them. You want to store them as much as you can. A lot of wall space gets taken up by windows, so we try to make it as efficient as possible. Being underground, it's energy efficient. It's the best use of underground. You don't have putting anything outside that's got to be insulated or whatever. And then the other one is we don't want to use up all the green grass we've got around there. It's just putting another building there. Put it underground. You don't see it.
Can you give us your name for the record?
Oh, sorry, David Berridge, architect.
Okay. Well,
So for me, it made so much sense to just we had the footprint that was approved, and the reason we're doing a 2-story building is why have it all on one level? These just urban sprawl will use up all the playing fields. So I'm just trying to make the building as efficient and as compact as possible.
I'm assuming all safety requirements we met as far as egress,
Yeah.
ventilation, and so forth.
Yeah, all of that. Yeah.
I think you're putting in an underground courtyard?
No.
I thought there was outside.
Well, when it's underground, we'll be putting a green roof on the roof, and that'll be gravel or either grass or landscaped above it. So you won't see it underground.
But I thought there was a space at underground level for open.
No, that's the library.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is like a seating amphitheater type area.
Yes,
You come out of the lower level of the building.
that's what I was referring to.
That's outdoors.
Thank you, Joe.
So it's a multi-split level school. We've got the lower level basement, we've got the upper lower level, and we've got the second floor. So it's very confusing.
Looks like an interesting plan.
Thank you very much.
I'm happy about the green stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And I just want to introduce John Burrows, who's going to be doing the building. I think some of you know him from his work on
Great.
town of Southampton.
Yes.
I have Robert here. Novak? Yeah, please.
Hi, so I'm Alexis Lasser and my husband Robert Novak, and we live right across the street from the Hayground School at 323 Butter. And we love the Hayground School. I mean, all summer long we hear the kids, laughing and playing, and so it's a wonderful item to have across the school. Our question really focuses on one of traffic, which is, harking back to all the concerns we have heard before. The traffic on Butter has become pretty crazy, and parking in particular has become really heavy with the Soul Cycle and the Equinox. Hayground School itself allowing Soul Cycle folks to park there on the weekends, but parking has become pretty dangerous with people parking on every property. We've had to try to block off our property because people will just park right in front of us. And so I'm wondering, with the expansion of the school, and I did hear that you said it wasn't going to increase the number of students coming there, but is there a plan around the whole parking situation? Because parking on Butter, people are double parking, walking in the street has become dangerous and difficult to navigate as someone who lives there. We live here full time, by the way.
The
year round.
applicant respond. Joe?
Bob?
And are you
David?
on Butter Lane or where?
We're on Butter, 323. We're right across the street.
Okay.
Literally
Yeah.
just
Hampton.
finished building the house about a year and a half ago.
And we live here year round. So it's, we're very familiar with the parking and the traffic around here.
David, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, yes, well, I can talk about this. The school enrollment and the camp isn't going to change at all. It's going to be built just for the student body they have. I mean, they're not letting any more students come into the school, both for the summer program and their year-round program. I believe that my office is just around the corner as well. I mean, it is amazing where all those cars on a Saturday morning. It's insane. And I know you've had a dialogue with the Hayground School about have the parking there and whatever. I think maybe this can be an ongoing conversation how we can sort of mitigate that. I mean, the school has been there for many years and the student body hasn't changed much. So in some ways, it's your problem is our problem because we're being impacted by it.
We have not, may I speak?
Please
We
speak
have
to
not
us.
been offended in the time that it was only the folks who went to Hayground's camp in the summer. It's always a pleasure. They're always wonderful. Everything was good. People weren't, but what has happened is other things have opened nearby where the parking has become wild. They're literally parking practically, in a manner of speaking, illegally on streets, all kinds of crazy things. When we had to leave our house at 9 o'clock in the morning, for example, on a Friday or a Saturday, we're stuck in traffic. If you can imagine that. We're stuck in traffic trying to get to under the Hayground Bridge and get to 27. So basically, this is a thing that, in a manner of speaking, in a positive sense, we need to address perhaps also with Hayground, where at least mention that it needs to be considered. And the rest of the street needs to be looked at the same time.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, it's just wild.
Yeah.
It's wild.
If I could speak maybe to the broader parking issues, if you feel there are parking issues along Butter, whether they're related to the school or related to other people, businesses. I used to handle the parking regulations for the town. I don't remember whether there are regulations extending as far up as your house. But if you're concerned and there are not existing parking regulations, I'd suggest you call the town engineer, Tom Houghton. He's now responsible for reviewing and recommending to the town board any changes in parking regulations on any particular street in the town. If there are existing ones, obviously you can call the police. If there are not existing ones, but they may be necessary, he is reviewing some other streets in Bridgehampton right now. I know that for parking concerns. Corwith is having some parking changes and things like that. So I would contact the town engineer, Tom Houghton, and ask him to come out and maybe take a look or discuss the issue with him, and he can come out and take a look and see if we need to adjust the town parking regulations to help your situation.
That's very helpful.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Very civilized. Thank you.
Are there-
Are
Are there any other questions from the board?
Yeah, in other words, your problem is our problem, so.
Any other questions from the public? Is there anyone on Zoom?
No one on.
Okay,
Just one more thing with
yes?
respect to parking. I know this summer, the school itself was having issues with people parking on Butter Lane.
Hmm.
And they wanted to try to do something about it because they were wanting.
Well, they can do what Tom just said.
Yeah.
Call
We'll give Tom a call in the morning.
Exactly, okay.
Thank you.
No more questions, we'll close this with a 10-day written comment period. Motion by Dennis, second by Kate, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor. Moving on to the Stella Luna Family Trust. Do we have sufficient notice, council?
No. Notice is posting and mailing both fine.
They're fine. Okay, Dennis, you want to read
Right.
into the
Please take notice that in accordance with local law 14 of 2022, a public hearing will be held by the Southampton Town Planning Board on Thursday, September 12th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at Town Hall, 116 Hampton Road, Southampton, via video conferencing to consider the final application entitled Stella Luna Land Trust. The application consists of a 2-lot planned residential development which preserves 50% of the subject property and considers action on an 8.375 acre parcel located within the R80 zoning district and situated in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District, located approximately 1,200 feet south of Noyak Road at 1645 Millstone Road, Hamlet of Noyak, tax map 913-1-79.22.
Good evening, Lisa Poyer, the Twin Forks Permits, on behalf of the applicant. This is a final subdivision application. This was previously before the board back in 2016, where the board issued a final approval for this subdivision. Something happened with the owners, I don't know 100%, but they've come back to renew the final approval so that we can move forward and actually record the maps. Back in 2016, as part of that approval, the water mains were installed, the common driveway easement was already prepared and recorded with the county center. So there's not a lot as far as changes. It's a cluster map. A portion of it will be dedicated to the town as far as the open space. It's a minor subdivision, it's 2 lots, and we're just here to have the final public hearing to hopefully move the project forward again with a new final approval.
That's 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
What improvements are in? You said the water mains are in, Lisa?
The water mains are in. I don't think the common driveway improvements have been made. but the easement document has been prepared. It was accepted by the town attorney back then and actually recorded with the county center.
Okay.
There's an existing house on lot 2, and then lot 1 will remain vacant at this time.
Yeah, I mean, something happened, obviously, that didn't get filed, and then things expire, and then so you took it over, and they had to come in with the new health department.
We
so-
have new health
Yeah.
department
We got
approval,
health department approval.
so we're just trying to get everything back up to where it was, so it was pretty much at the recording stage.
Good. Any questions on the board? Anyone from the public? Anyone online? I mean, on Zoom? Okay, 10-day, I'll close with a 10-day written comment period. Motion by Dennis, second by George. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor. 10 days.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving to Hampton Cove Estates. Do we have notice, Council?
We do.
Gloria?
Please take notice that in accordance with local law number 14 of 2022, a public hearing will be held by the Southampton Town Planning Board on Thursday, September 12, 2024 at 6 p.m. at Town Hall, 116 Hampton Road, Southampton, and via video teleconference to consider the site plan application entitled Hampton Cove Estates. The application proposes the legalization of the conversion of an 8-unit pre-existing motel building into 8 co-op units situated in the R20 zoning district and New York State Archaeological Sensitive Area at 40 Canoe Place Road, Hamlet of Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-229-1-40.
Good evening. Kevin Springer, Dynamic Legal for the applicant. Couple quick reminders. This building has been operating as co-ops basically since the mid to late 80s. It was only due to last few years where a code enforcement official became aware that there was a problem and it was not, so it hasn't been a hotel. I have spoken to, I believe, 5 out of the 6. We've done multiple mailings, so we had a clerical error the last time. They all would prefer it to stay as a co-op. Nobody wants it to go back to a hotel. It has the 8 units or the 8 units. We've handed in the floor plans. There was a question on 2 of the units that they had questioned that way. Looks like it could be a second bedroom. They're marked as storage. One of them is actually doesn't have a closet in that one. It does have a washer dryer, even though there's a washer dryer in the basement. The other one we couldn't confirm, but everybody was reminded that upon your approval, hopefully, that the building department will be coming into each unit, and if that is the case, they will have to take down whatever walls that have been put up since then.
This is a co-op, not a condo.
No.
It's a co-op.
Co-op, yep. It's been operating as a co-op. Many of them been bought and sold for, I don't know, years now.
Used to be a motel.
Used to be a motel, yes, many years ago. You did have some notes that I did want to, I spoke about the floor plans. There was a shed that was in a non-conforming location that has since been moved. The dumpster, there hasn't been a dumpster there in actually quite some time. I think that was from a Google Earth picture, but they are now using basically a carter with just pails anyway, so that has not been, that's been addressed also. Let's see, what else do we have here? That was really it. I mean, basically everything is going to end up falling into the hands of the building department next anyway, because that's our next step. So whatever they don't like or question, we're going to have to prove that we either fix it or they deny it until we do fix it.
What about septic? Has the septic been upgraded to AI systems?
No, but there's never been a septic issue there. It's been the same septic system for the last 30 years. There was never a need to.
Do they have to go to the health
change of use?
Do they have to go to the health department?
That would have, I mean, if you
I don't know the answer to that. I'll have to find out from the building department.
Well,
they have their own standards, that say when an application comes in, what drives. And then the health department also has their memo that they have that says, what drives, the
I
requirement.
did meet with Mr. McDermott on this, and this was a while back. And he said if everything is the same that it was, we technically can't, we can't make you change it unless somebody does something that is, as per se, puts in a second bedroom. As soon as we go over the 8 single bedroom units, all bets are off, and then we have to go to a new septic system, and it will be an IA, obviously, because it's also in a mandated area. So no matter what, that would be
So
the case.
is it recorded right now as a motel and it's changing to co-op? Is that a change of use?
The
that
CO,
would...
the CO.
Yeah, the CO states, still states as a motel. And it's been that way, it's been, we're talking back in the
Right.
70s.
So do we get a new CO?
Yes, that's why we're gonna have to go to the building department.
Right.
But wouldn't
And
the
does that
change
go
of
to the
use
health department?
allow?
Well, that's gonna be up to Mr. McDermott and his team.
Who's
They're gonna,
Mr.
you know,
Who's
they're-
Mr. McDermott?
Sean is the
Oh,
chief
Sean.
building
Building
inspector. So
It's like when
he's,
someone goes in for a building permit, for a single family residence, and they're doing renovations, the building department goes and says, okay, our records say you have a 3-bedroom unit, they wanna put 4 bedrooms in there. Building department says you have to come in with the health department approval that shows a septic system upgrade. They treat commercial properties the same way, actually, it's the same type of thing. Something will drive, I don't know if this particular
Right, but
change
if
of
we're
use
looking
drives
at a
it.
site plan change of use, we're completing an action that would then require us to look at a septic upgrade for the site, which is very
Mhm.
close to the water.
Yes. So that's just a heads up that may
Yeah, no,
happen.
no.
Okay. Any other comments from the board? Anyone from the public wishing to speak? Anyone on Zoom?
No one on Zoom.
Okay, voting will close with a 10-day written comment period. Motion by Kate, second by Gloria, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? 6 in favor, thanks.
thank you.
Thanks. No. Yeah. So we're going back to Deep Blue Sea. And the applicant doesn't need to be here, we can take, oh, you are
Oh,
here?
yeah. Oh, okay.
Good, thank you.
It's a continuation, so we don't have to read the notice. There's no
Right,
notice.
Do you want the affidavit?
Oh, you have another one?
Well, I have the same one, but it's the original.
Oh, you can give it to council.
Thank you. And I've seen the copies, so we have
Yeah,
number
it's
notice.
the same thing, yeah. So I'm Gordon Bonbrook, been the owner of the location for almost 30 years now, with John Flanagan. So we're here today because originally we submitted a possible subdivision, but we resubmitted the plans, and it's just gonna be a single-use cannabis, recreational cannabis.
Just so I wasn't here for that hearing, to correct, I think the board raised the question, you said subdivision, I want to clarify.
Okay, not subdivision,
The
I'm sorry.
building was subdivided into different space, I think that's what they
For
were
2
talking about.
uses, yes.
For 2 uses, right?
Right,
Is that-
and we're
okay.
just gonna
The
make it one
Meathouse
single
Garden?
use.
Is this Meathouse Gardens?
No, this is the other one right here.
The other
Deep
one.
Blue Sea,
This is the one,
behind the Carvel.
Yeah, yeah,
on the
yeah,
north.
yeah.
the dance.
Oh, the old club.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
We had quite a robust
yeah.
hearing at our last meeting
Yeah,
regarding some of the local residents. Were you aware?
I was on the Zoom.
You were on the Zoom,
Yeah.
okay.
But yeah, I understand everything going on with that, but you know, with what we're gonna be involved as the owners of the property, that's the difference. Like, we're just landlords, and we've been landlords for 15 years now. So now it's different in that respect. But you know, the main purpose, I guess, for today is just that we're gonna be doing it as a single use. We resubmitted the plans.
Okay.
Okay, I think we have some people on Zoom who wanted to
Okay.
have some statements. Are those people still there?
Yeah.
There he is.
There you are, yes. Mr., can you just state your name? John Flynn?
Jonathan Yed, and I live at 25 Village Green Drive, Southampton, directly across the street from the site being discussed this evening. I mean, forgive my ignorance, but I mean, where are the plans? You know, I've been on for an hour, seeing other applicants and provide their plans, Rivian provided,
You have it.
you know, several different plans.
Do we have them,
renderings
Anthony?
And drawings and whatnot. I mean, I haven't seen anything from this applicant yet.
Well, we're just getting to the application now.
And
Okay, so are they presenting or?
no,
He
they
just
presented
They
last
pres-
time.
This is a continuation of the initial, were you at the initial hearing?
I wasn't.
He was there.
Okay, this is it was adjourned, the original hearing was adjourned to allow additional members of the public, not the applicant. We heard the applicant's presentation a month ago. The purpose of this hearing is to get additional comments from the public.
Okay, well.
But the plan is coming up.
Comments, well, the name, my neighbors, I guess we have no idea what this thing is gonna look like. I sat there, I was at the meeting, many of us were at the meeting.
Is
Nobody
it,
has any clue what this thing is gonna look like.
is it going to be redesigned or you're tearing it
Yeah,
down?
but from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is pre-submission where we're basically saying this is the use of what we want to do, and then we're going to do full plans of the look of the place and everything after once we start doing submission. But maybe is
Are
that
you
correct?
doing any exterior alterations
I mean,
To
not
the building.
to the building?
to the building, not really. I mean, most everything is going to be pretty much the same in terms of. I mean, if anything, everything will be. We'll just clean it up, make it nicer. It's going to be a retail space. So, if you look at a lot of the cannabis dispensaries now, they're very elevated, beautiful spaces, and that's kind of in the vein that we'll be submitting.
So the
So
purpose.
here's a, can you see
Yeah.
this? No, our
Oh,
Zoom
sorry.
person.
No,
Can-
I just see the applicant, I see some stuff
Okay.
behind him on the wall. I don't know if that's relevant to his application or if that's from a prior one.
Yeah, there's
So-
a,
We could post paper behind, I guess the camera's just,
Okay, now I see something on the screen now, yes. I
can you
that.
see it?
Yeah. Listen, our biggest questions have to deal with traffic, have to deal with illumination, particularly at night and whatnot, given, products being sold and everything else security related. It has to do with the fact that this is an old building, currently operating as a club with booming bass, and while I understand that that is going away, we want to ensure that there's some type of additional soundproofing that's brought up to current day code, because take a drive down there at midnight. I mean, it's out of control, crazy sound booming. I get this is a different use, but the building should be modernized and sort of changed in the interior to ensure that there's some level of soundproofing, because, I don't know what studies they've done, no idea how many people they expect to come in and out of there on a daily basis. But, soundproofing is an issue. And then, landscaping and everything else. I know, we're a family community across the street, there's 50 units directly across the street. Of the 50 units, there's probably 25, full-time residents. Of the 25, I'd say 15, give or take, have young children. Many of the others, have guests that visit with their grandchildren and all. Like, we just want this, but again, I'm not against the use. We just want to ensure that there is ample landscaping to make it private, to make it secluded, lighting at night, with respect to security, ensuring that there's no, there has to legally, illegal to have any type of on-site consumption, but we want to ensure that there's a plan in place so that as patrons exit the facility, there's no consumption on their parcel, on their property, including, the parking lot. So security plan and having a staff member or somebody, to watch over that and to enforce that plan is critical. Parking along Tuckahoe, should there be, overspill, or there be, more patrons than the lot can hold, ensuring somebody is, I don't know if it's possible for the town to put up no standing signs, and there was some no standing signs, temporary no standing signs that were put up during the music festival that occurred earlier this year at Shinnecock. I don't know if it's possible to put permanent signs there, so that, it's clear to folks there that they're not allowed to just pull over and park their car along that road, because if they do that, it's just gonna make it impossible, to get in and out of our development. Congestion's gonna be crazy. We already see it, we've heard all night about traffic, on the major road and sort of the ancillary roads like ours, which is directly south of the main road. I mean, those are the big things we want to see, that's pretty much it. And I love the fact that the applicant said that they're going to be around full time, because currently they're not, and that's one of the big issues we have. The current guy that's there, the tenant, is a disaster. It's an absolute disaster, and there's nobody overseeing it. you know?
A lot
So-
of the things that you suggested that you'd like to know about is part of the site plan application. This is pre-submission. This is just sort of the very beginning. So
Got it.
when
So
they
there's
put a
gonna be
site
another-
plan
another
application,
Yes, there'll be another hearing.
all of that will
Yes.
be, yeah. Yeah.
And at the time of the second hearing, there's gonna be a landscape plan, there's gonna be a lighting plan, there's gonna be architectural, because all of these things, we're gonna generate a report and tell this applicant, you've gotta do all these things. In addition to some of the issues you mentioned, which is very relevant, maybe a safety plan, a monitoring plan for the parking lot, looking at the roadside on Tuckahoe, limitation of any standing there, so those are all good comments, they're all entered into the record now.
Yeah, and just for the record, I'm sorry.
There will be public hearings during that process, so you'll have more input.
And the special exception standards, the two big ones, particularly in a property like this location now, you have the traffic study that you could ask for, and the whole pedestrian circulation concept. So now you do have a residential community, you have concerns that were raised. So that information absolutely can be requested by this board.
Those are all special
No parking
exception
on that road and
standards.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I know there are parking restrictions on that road already because I helped enact them. But again, we can define that more tightly when the final application comes in, and I'm sure we're going to want to know what your hours of operation are expected to be.
Right.
You know, those are,
So a lot
all
of the
these
things-
things are things we're gonna have to ask you to address.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of things that you're talking about, the state, has very, very regulated times. The security systems are next level of what we have to put in place. So I think everything will be addressed plus some. And then, and we're going to, have a whole plan with the landscaping and parking and everything else. So,
Right. And you'll be a good neighbor,
Yes.
so that's important.
Exactly.
All right, Mr. Flanagan, you could put your comments in a letter to us
Okay.
if you want to,
okay.
Or an email.
or email.
I know we raised it during the first hearing, I'm just.
Okay, great.
I was expecting maybe a little bit different tonight, I thought they were gonna take those comments and present more like the Rivian.
No, it's too
Next-
early for that.
Next time,
It's too early.
next
There's
session.
a second hearing.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, don't go away. I think, let me just see, is there someone else on the
There
line?
was another couple.
They're part of the.
Oh, no, it's my partner.
Oh,
Partner.
okay.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
She wants to be heard.
Yes?
Close the access from the gas station? Are you gonna close the dirt road that comes from the gas station?
It's a
around
public,
through
it's a
your
public
parking
road.
lot? It is a public road. It's
Yes.
a public easement.
Yes.
Okay.
That was easy.
Okay, any more questions?
Did
from-
someone else?
Do you need to speak, or are you, this is your partner?
State your
On the
name.
last meeting.
Please give us your name.
John Flanagan, the owner of the property, along with Mr. Von Brock.
I thought we just spoke to.
Yes, go ahead, please.
So on the last meeting, as I said, there was a little, there was some vocal tenants from across the street, and Mr. Yen and his wife have had some conversations about me not being a local, not being present, not being in Southampton. I'm not in Southampton today, but I've been in Southampton 9 out of the last 6 months. Outside of that, I was away for 3 months. I spent the bulk of my life in Southampton. Both my great-grandparents, my parents, my aunt is, my grandmother buried out there. We've had property out there for over 100 years. So I'm far from somebody who has been, told that I live on the West Coast, or an absentee landlord or anything else. I made sure all summer to look at our tenant, make sure that if people were having problems with him, that we were actively involved in making sure that there weren't any issues. And with code enforcement, the police department, fire department, and everybody else. So, and as far as what this will look like, and when I listen to Mr. Yedlin say that you need soundproof at midnight moving forward, the state doesn't allow us to open past 9 o'clock at night. As Mr. Von Brock stated, there are some very specific times we're allowed to open and close. And so that's dictated by the state, not by us. And so, if this is a retail store, it wouldn't be a nightclub any longer. As we know, the town, from when I was a young man, and there were 14 places like this around town, we might be the last one standing. So I think that, it's a completely different usage. allow us to stay up until 7 o'clock last time in a meeting. There will be no conversation of that. We will verify what the state tells us to do. As far as parking outside on the street, we have more than enough parking spots in our location to hold the amount of people that will be in there. And as far as what changes to the building itself will remain the same. The interior will change, and we plan on doing landscaping and lighting that would be, look like a pair of Sharpies. It'll be, to beautify the area, and make it look a lot better than the highway that surrounds the development. And you live there, and the train that passes in on the other side, of the golf course, the driving range on one side, of the Carvel, or the estate camp. So I think it would be an addition, as we've owned the property for over 30 years, when that was a field, it was a commercial piece of property, and would turn into residential, surprisingly. So I think that, we're looking to be a very good neighbor and not have problems with anybody.
Okay, thanks very much for those comments.
Okay, thank you.
Anything more? Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Any other comments from the
No.
board? Okay, so
I
we'll
would just like
close.
to state that the state governs the operating hours, the towns and local municipalities can restrict them even further.
No, they can't.
No, you
They can't.
cannot. We cannot, we cannot oversee state regs.
I'll be submitting something for the record that states.
You're in your post,
Okay.
on the poster board of self-entitlement. If you Google, Google
What
this.
does that have to do with it?
Please don't have a
We're
dialogue
not-
for
can't have a
yourself.
dialogue.
You're in front of the planning board and not with each other.
Nothing to do with what we're discussing, John.
Please submit your comments down,
Yeah.
alrighty.
Okay, we're closing this hearing now, with a
Thank you very much.
10-day written comment period.
Motion.
Motion by Kate, second
Second.
by Gloria, and all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Six in
Motion to
favor.
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by George, second by Dennis, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions?
Thanks
Six
for coming
in
in.
favor, one absent. You are adjourned.